War Eagle War Rapport family, I'm your host, C-Dub, and we have a great show planned for you guys tonight. As the number one team, Auburn had one stressful night last night against Mizzouri, but the good guys pulled it out 55-54, and the guys are all here to break down that game and give their thoughts, discuss player of the game, as well as some football news. So you guys want to definitely hang around for that. But for now, sit back, get your weight up, because tonight we enter the War Room.
You are now listening to the War Rapport. Wednesday night War Room. Brought to you by Auburn Sports.com. Ike Jones. B. Will. C-Doe. Mike G. Let's go!
War Eagle, everyone. War Eagle, happy Wednesday, and welcome to the Wednesday Night War Room, brought to you by our good friends at auburnsports.com. For your latest information regarding recruiting and all other info regarding Auburn athletics, please head on over to auburnsports.com. They do a great job of keeping you guys up to date with the latest. Shouts out to those guys again. Also, want to thank our War Rapport family for joining us on this Wednesday night to talk a little basketball, a little football. Do us a favor. If you're watching live or on the replay, share this video on social media. Please use hashtag #GetYourWeightUp. Help people find our content, and let's grow this community. Now, Mike G, you're here. Let the people know what you can experience if you become a patron.
Listen, become a patron. $5.99 will get you there. Go to our YouTube channel, find the join button, click it, enter your credit card information, become a monthly supporter of the War Rapport. We appreciate we appreciate it.
This ad is so sleazy.
Gracious.
We appreciate everybody who does this. This helps keep us going. I'm going to tell you guys why in just a second. Look, listen, guys, we're partnered with the Lee County Humane Society to raise money for a good cause. So go over to the About section of our YouTube channel, find this link, click it. 50 cents on every dollar donated goes to them to help them. Hashtag save all the puppies. We haven't had a donation in like 2 months, I think. I think it's been like 2 months. So maybe time to get that going again, see if we can save some more puppies in 2022. We are giving away an AAU t-shirt. Hashtag get your weight up in the comments to enter. You guys know the deal. This is brought to you by GWT2 Energy Consulting Services. That's our guy, Walt Taylor, in the comments. You'll see him here every night chopping it up with us. So enter. Thank Walt for that. If you don't win tonight, visit our merch store. You can just buy what we're giving away. And you can support our content this way too. We are on podcast. Check us out on every single podcast platform. We're putting out podcasts a minimum of 4 days a week now with some extra special segments. So speaking of extra segments, the War Rapport sat down with the one and only coach of the number one team in the country. We sat down with Bruce Pearl. So Ike Jones and I chopped it up with Coach Pearl. We asked him about a lot of stuff. He gave us a lot of answers, but most importantly, we got the information that you guys all wanted to know about, which is how did he feel about the double dribble? Now,
Facts.
He didn't tell us on camera, but maybe one day if we get enough patron signs ups, we'll tell you guys what he said about the double dribble. But that was a tremendous conversation with Coach Pearl. He was very gracious to give us a little bit of his time. The number one coach of the number one team in the country is a busy guy with a lot of commitment. So I appreciate him giving us a little bit of his time to talk about Auburn basketball.
Yeah, very very dope interview with Coach Pearl. Was happy to be able to talk with him.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of number one team, how are you feeling, man? The AP did the right thing and put Auburn number one. Coach is kind of hating a little bit. But how are we feeling, man, with that ranking and what it means for this program moving forward? I'll start with you, Ike.
Listen, it just increases the target on our back, right? Like teams are already going to be gunning for us because we were and still are the top team in the conference, right? Like so you're the best in the conference by every metric. So the teams are already going to bring their A game, but having a win against a team that is ranked number 1 in the nation definitely bolsters your resume if you're a bubble team. So if you're playing against us, they have every reason to come out there with their hair on fire, attempting to put that notch in their belt. So it feels good as a fan to be able to have that little bit of bragging rights. But I guarantee you that means it's going to be a stressful road from here until the end of March. So definitely looking forward to seeing the effort that the team puts together. And we'll get into the Mizzouri game a little bit. But, yeah, the ranking feels good.
Let's see how you feel good about this. Dorian Hurd says, Ike, it's all love, but go Rams.
Yeah,
on Sunday.
Ooh. You want to spit on his mom, too? Why would you say that?
Yeah. Okay. Nothing but grunts from Ike. All right. Let's stay with Auburn being number 1. Mike G, how you feel about it, man?
It feels good. It feels particularly good after what happened on Tuesday night. This game was coming. This type of game was coming, and to see them pull through and win it with defense made me feel really good about that ranking. A lot of other teams have gotten that ranking and failed teams that they shouldn't have fallen to. Right? Mizzouri gave Texas. They gave some other good teams in our conference a run for their money, and we were not immune to that. So we had the inevitable bad shooting night, and they shot just good enough. And depth, man, the depth of this team is what makes me feel good about this number 1 ranking. Like it is deserved. That's what I saw this week. I feel we really deserve that number 1 ranking. And some people will look at a game like what we played on Tuesday and say that's probably why you're not number 1. And I'm looking at that game. I'm saying that's exactly why Auburn is number 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be Will.
Man, you know what? I am.
Are you at peace?
I'm more at peace during basketball season because you've always got time to do what you need to do. The regular season is the least impactful of any of the major sports, to be honest with you. So if you're one of the 64, I guess 68 best, you'll get a shot at everything at the end. And the number 1 ranking has some meaning. We may disagree here about how much it has exactly, but this is what number 1 tends to do. It makes the target on your back even bigger. You can be kind of like the perennial leader in your conference, like what Kentucky was in the SEC by itself for a while, or what Duke and UNC were in the ACC for a really long time when both Roy was there and Krzyzewski was there. And it makes everybody want to beat you because of who you are. So we're just getting a taste of that because we're number 1. It's not that we weren't going to get a taste of that, honestly. We were going to get a taste of that as long as we were always in the driver's seat in the SEC. People were going to be gunning for us. I expected this game. I made a little money betting on Mizzouri to cover because I knew what that number 1 ranking was going to bring with it. And also Mizzouri is like completely hot or cold. They're going to be bad one night and then they are going to be awesome the next night. And being that they were at home, we were number 1 and they had just lost. I was like, oh, they're going to try to get it all back. It's going to be a close game. And it was. Now, I think the biggest win is we won that game. We won an awful shooting night,
right?
A terrible shooting night. There was not one person on that stat sheet was like, oh, he was awesome. Nobody was awesome. Everybody had some ups and downs as far as scoring was. Cambridge's effort was phenomenal. I know we'll get into the game more later, but it's pretty clear that the depth is what's winning it for us. I think our number 1 is safer than most other number 1s because we're not so dependent on one person. So I'm actually really at peace because I think we have the right mix of personalities and depth to protect it for longer than people might think we'll be able to. So I'm comfortable with this. We might still lose. Yeah, it's cool. It's basketball. But we are damn good. And it feels good to know that I'm rooting for that team every time they hit the court.
Antonio Smith feels that, and appreciate the super chat, I think this team is way better and deeper than the Final Four team. Chime in, guys. What are your thoughts on this?
Not
Deeper
better.
for sure.
Deeper, yes, better no, because our outside shooting on
know.
that Final Four team was significantly better.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Final Four team had better consistent 3-point shooting.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I think this team is much better defensively.
Yes, agreed.
And I think that this, because of the depth, and like, so if you know, we talked about this a little bit when I was making fun of the Kentucky fans. You know, you remove Chuma Okeke from that team, and all you have is 3-point shooters, right? Like, you don't really have a guy that can ISO, get the ball, and go into the lane and do damage. I mean, Jared Harper, for as much heart as he had, he was really, you know, quickness in the open floor and deep threes that made him a dangerous person. You know what I'm saying? He's a good facilitator as well. I don't want to take anything away from Jared Harper. But I think they didn't have shot makers on that team. Put the ball in my hand, go get a bucket, guys.
Right.
There are 3 of them on this team.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Jabari didn't show that last night, but he is a put the ball in my hand, go get a bucket dude. KD Johnson showed it last night. Put the ball in my hand, go get a bucket.
Mm-hmm.
Wendell Green Jr., put the ball in my hand, go get a bucket. Like, you have 3 guys legitimately that in game scenarios, whoever's hot, feed them the ball, get out of the way. Who on that Final Four team do you say is that guy?
Mm-hmm.
Besides Jared Harper from deep, that's it.
I agree with you. And maybe that's
Bryce Brown.
issue.
He's
Bryce
a spot
Brown and Jared Harper were more consistent shooting from 3.
Yeah, that's a dangerous
were more
team.
consistent, or were more consistent than even Wendell Green is from 3. So our best 3-point shooter now is the 3rd best among those 3 guards shooting. The
Don't
3
disagree.
is such it's too heavy. The value of it is so heavy that when you can shoot like that, you can have other deficiencies. And those guys were just lights out at that time, man. That's why it's hard for me to say we're definitely deeper. If you put them on the floor and have them play each other, I think our team now is winning. We're just too good defensively.
Well, the reason why I say that, you know, like, if they're hitting the 3, amazing. If they're off that night, like we were last night, that Final Four team has a shooting night like last night's team did, they lose that game. They don't have the ability. They don't have a KD Johnson to ride out, right? Like, they just don't have the ability to stem those tides. They're going to try to shoot their way back into the game. And if they can't heat up, it's a wrap. Now, again, I'm not saying that team was not good defensively, but again, they don't have the defensive anchor of a Kessler in the back, because Mizzouri's was not a great 3-point shooting team.
Right.
But they were Mizzouri was making some really good. I mean, it was tough, contested, medium range, and in the lane shots last night, right? But it was just tough, man. It was tough shots they were getting. Those shots are a lot easier against that Final Four team because Walker Kessler's not patrolling the back end.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I think Coach Pearl said in the post game, right, that it was good to see that they can survive Jabari having a bad shooting night.
Yeah.
But right,
It
but
was
but Mizzouri cannot survive their best player having an off night. You know, and he thought for what they lacked offensively, they filled it in with defense.
Yeah,
which is, you know, that's like a Pearl hallmark, right? Is we're going to play lockdown defense, and then we're going to play smart offense. So, it was not, in spite of Jabari having an off night, it was cool to see KD take over the game, because in my mind I was feeling like, okay, Wendell's about to take this over.
Yeah.
And then he went down with the knee injury, and I was like, okay, maybe it's not Wendell.
Well, let's get into it then. Well, let's talk about it since we're here, Mike G. Auburn avoids the upset.
Yeah.
And the people have spoken. You mentioned him, Mike G. Here he is.
It had to be. Come on, man.
Yeah.
The animal himself.
Was it 5 points
goodness.
in the last under 2 minutes of the game? Last 5 points. 17, 6 for 13, 2 rebounds, an assist, 3 steals in 28 minutes. He's clutch, man. I mean, because he plays with such emotion. it's a different kind of emotion in that it almost like he revels for these moments. It's just he lives for these moments, and he's not afraid of the moment.
No,
he
he's
doesn't
not.
shrink. Even if he misses a shot, he's going to go for it because he has that type of confidence. The shots he took going in and driving and scoring off the backboard, that first shot where he got fouled, it was just ridiculous to me.
Right.
Ridiculous to me, just how his willingness to just make those big shots. So you guys' thoughts about KD and his performance? Mike G, you go ahead and continue because you started talking about KD. I wanted to introduce.
There's not much more to say other than, what a great performance by him. His energy, his leadership down the stretch, just no fear in him at all. Like, I know it was stressful watching that, but I never felt like we were going to lose. I just felt like, and that maybe that's the totality of.
I was worried for him.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm not saying I wasn't worried, but it just felt like Auburn's destined to win this game, even if I'm going to stress out till the last second. And that might be the totality of their whole performance this year.
Since we're talking about it, can we go ahead and put some? Let me cue it up. Can I cue it up?
Yes, absolutely.
All right, yeah, so we have a new sponsor for those of you who do not know, the rogueshop.com. We're going to drop their promo later on in the show. But what we've decided to do for the Rogue Shop, they have CBD gummies that they have in their store. And so you know what it's like to be a fan of the Cardiac Cats. You're going to have some stressful moments throughout games. And so we are going to rate our stress level for this game by the number of gummies that you would need to calm yourself down.
Exactly.
1, 2, or 3. Are you level 1? We're at last night during this game, Mike G, what level of stress were you at about 6 minutes left in the game? Mizzouri and Auburn are going back and forth, trading the lead. Wendell Green goes down with an injury. Where are you at that moment?
Okay, so my Rogue Shop stress level of the game was three gummies. I was 3 gummies deep at that point because like I said, I never felt like we were going to lose.
Yeah.
I never felt like we were going to lose, but at the end of the day, I just felt like Wendell's injury worried me just a little bit. Now, Zep Jasper is great and can hit from 3. He can shoot and he can be the floor general. So, but you've seen your dynamic score go down in a game where you are struggling to score is 3 gummies stressful. So they're my gummies on the screen, all 3 of them. I was like, and then, maybe that's why I felt like we were never going to lose. I was like, man, Rogue Shop gummies got me confident.
Come on, man.
Confident. So, yeah.
He ate yours last night. That's why you're not getting it.
The sponsor was kind enough to let us sample their wares. And Mike was like, yeah, I'm gonna send you guys. I ain't got nothing.
The mail worked slow.
We were stressed too, Mike. Huh? It's gonna be half bitten gummies.
Yeah. I'm up here. I'm like, what gummies, baby? What gummies you talking about?
All right, B. Will, where were you at last night, man? When about 2 minutes left in the game, right?
3 gummies in the wind.
You were 2 minutes left in the game, and we needed a bucket bad. What were you feeling at that moment in the game? How many gummies of stress? What would have it taken to get you off of the stress ride?
Mm-hmm. These are 50 milligrams now.
It was I was like 2. I was like 2 gummies.
2 gummies.
The reason is it's a partial. It's different things. So number one, every time they got the ball on offense and we were on defense, they had nothing. We were defending like crazy, and that gave me confidence that we were going to get a last shot. We were going to get with Wendell back in the game and or KD in the game, which he got in late. Like Bruce held him a little bit and still coaching because you want your craziest dude to have all the crazy energy. So I think it was like 5 minutes stuff. I was like, why isn't KD in the game? Because nobody can do anything on offense. Like nobody. And he put him in there. I want to say it was somewhere between 3 and 4 minutes left. I was like, okay, finally. And that's what did it for us. But because we weren't giving up points, and that's was like, okay, so fine. So it's not going to be this 3-point thing where they finally hit one of their shots and then we're going to be missing shots and having to foul. That wasn't going to be the game. The game is whoever has the ball last is going to have a chance to win it. And fortunately for us, that was us. So because we were defending well,
literally we had the ball last,
yeah,
to the very last second.
Yeah. So because we were defending well, I wasn't too crazy, but I'd say one was because of how close the game was. The other one was because if y'all saw on the War Rapport Twitter account last night, I was like, hey man, if we lose tonight, this was absolutely be will. Please, I need y'all do not get into a back and forth with people on social media. We have been slam dunking on entire fan bases for a month.
I need y'all to be ready. Whole comment section.
Just be ready to
going Vince Carter at the Olympics.
Just don't get into a back and forth. If y'all remember how pitiful these other fans have been sounding with the but if we you guys, Bruce is a cheater. That's how stupid they sound. Mm-hmm. Don't be that person. I was so worried for the fan base. That was my other gummy. My second gummy was, this is gonna get so bad on Twitter. Oh my god, this is gonna get so bad. I hope our fan base does not get sucked into it. When you win, you get to talk all the trash. If you lose, don't have nothing to say. Don't make excuses.
We're gonna get it bad when we lose. And if it had been to Missouri, oh man, I just don't want it to be to Bama. Please,
Bama at home as the number one would be the worst.
It would be the worst case.
Case scenario.
Yeah, I agree.
So that's why my two. One was because we couldn't
now
score.
Bubble team.
Yeah, they should be out. I don't want to hear about them anymore from anybody. But anyway,
they shouldn't have been. They shouldn't have been in the top 25 as long as they was either. But that's another story.
But yeah.
All right, so I'm going to take you to the final 35 seconds of the game. Auburn up by 1, and KD Johnson is dribbling the ball up the court. Where are you at that moment during the game?
I'm at 2 gummies, and I'm eyeballing the third. But I'm still at 2 gummies, and the only reason is because I did a cardio workout, so I was really relaxed before I caught the second half.
All right.
So, yeah, right around there, I'm like, okay, KD is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So this is a crazy situation, so I shouldn't be nervous, but I am. And I was waiting on it was either KD or Jabari is going to wake up and do something amazing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that he missed a shot and we just kept struggling to get a rebound, and I'm like, the clock is going, the clock is moving, the clock is moving. And when and I got a little nervous after the buzzer went off because Bruce didn't move.
Yeah. They had to make sure it really was no time left because it'd been like under a second.
Bruce knows something. And so I was eyeballing the third gummy, but I stayed at 2 with KD having the ball because we got the ball, but we never lost possession. And so that's what kept me from taking the third one. So
that was kind of a best case scenario too, wasn't it? You missed a shot, but
run out of time.
But there was no time left, so nobody got a shot off. Yeah.
So really huge props to Walker Kessler in that moment because he kept the ball alive after KD missed that shot. And tipped it up. If he hadn't gotten that initial 1 or 2 tips after that to waste those last couple of seconds before the ball got hit out of bounds, they'd have had 2 or 3 seconds left to try to get a final shot up.
Right.
I was at 2 gummies last night as well. The Rogue Shop had me feeling okay. And like Mike, I think B Will. I don't know which one of y'all know. Mike was saying he didn't ever feel like we were going to lose that game. There were moments where that's why I was on 2 where I was like, are we really about to lose to Mizzouri? Because it just felt when it got down into the fourth quarter and it felt like it was going to come to a free throw contest. I was like,
fourth quarter?
No, excuse me, the end of the second half. My bad. When it got down to the end of the second half and it felt like it was going to come down to a free throw contest, I was like, no, because I don't want to I don't want to trade free throws with nobody.
Right.
Like we already had our good free throw shooting night at Kentucky, so we're due for a falling back to earth with that in the second half of a game. So I just was not feeling great about that scenario. But after KD got cooking, I was like, yeah, we're good. We're gonna do this.
Yeah.
So I said I didn't ever get to that third one. The first half of the game was a little hairy though. We got down by like 12, 14, some crazy number like that. It was a double digits thing. I was like, what is going on, bro?
I was cool at that point. I was like, we wake up. We usually do.
Yeah.
And shout out to Rogue. Good to see you guys.
Was good.
But yeah, like I was like, they're gonna wake up. They're gonna wake up. And when we took the lead in the second half, I was like, here we go. But
yeah, I thought
we never got the separation,
Yeah.
right? And so it had the feeling of the Ole Miss game, but we never pulled away. And so I was like,
yeah,
this is what it's gonna be.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, it's they survived. They survived the biggie, but I want to break down the game a little further. Before we do that, I definitely want to give some love to a huge supporter.
Right.
Jazzy.
This is from the Kentucky game.
Yeah. Yep.
Where he was unable to super chat. I believe all of it. So this is the remainder. Again, a man of your word. Appreciate you, Jazzy, for the super chat.
Oh, Jazzy on the super chat payment plan.
Man, we love you, Jazzy. We appreciate it.
We love you.
Yeah, man. He's doing it. At this point, you're doing it for the love, and we love you for it.
So before we move on, we just did the gummy segment, right? Which is hilarious. That went a lot more hilarious than I thought it would go. But I do want to shout out the Rogue Shop. They're in here. They're great. They've been great partners so far. You guys know the deal. Support us by supporting our sponsors. Go to therogueshop.com. He's got a little something for everything. So in addition to CBD, they have Delta 8 products, all registered in the state of Alabama. So if you're looking for something to help manage the rest of that basketball season stress come March Madness, I'm gonna need like 2 tubs of gummies, I'm sure. So Richard, and use code rapport. So we'll run the ad later, but I just want to drop that in there while Richard was here.
Indeed. And guys, be sure to get the thumbs up. Those of you who watching, if you haven't been commenting, or if you are commenting, please be sure to smash that like button while you're in here watching live or on replay. That helps us out a bunch. We mentioned Rogue Shop. Shout outs to them. Let's mention the rest of the War Rapport sponsors.
The War Rapport's Wednesday Night War Room is brought to you by our generous sponsors. AuburnSports.com. For news and notes on all things Auburn Sports, head over to AuburnSports.com. University Ace Hardware, located at 2101 East University Drive in Auburn, Alabama, right across the street from the Auburn Mall and next to the movie theater. For all of your hardware needs, Ace is the place. And our giveaway sponsor, GWT2 Energy. If you want the best in the business at restaurant logistics, check out our friends at GWT2Energy.com.
Okay, so become a patron. $5.99 a month. You can go to our YouTube front page, and just become a member, guys. We appreciate everybody who's been joining our community. We've been growing like crazy. In February, we've got some more patron content coming for you guys, basketball related, but some more football stuff too. We're going to be doing some stuff with the draft. You're going to have to be a patron to partake. So make sure you sign up for that membership. We are partnered with the Lee County Humane Society to raise money for a good cause. So go over to the About section of our YouTube channel, find this link. Every dollar donated, 50 cents of it goes to them to help them in their mission to hashtag save all the puppies. Now, we're giving away an AU t-shirt, and hashtag get your weight up in the comments to enter this. This is brought to you by GWT2 Energy Consulting Services. That's our guy, Walt Taylor, in the comments. He sponsors these giveaways every single live stream. So give Walt a digital high five. Hashtag get your weight up in the comments. We're going to pull at the 1 hour mark. We are on podcast. Check us out on every single podcast platform. We're out there 4 to 5 days a week now in 2022. And last but not least, tomorrow we're dropping a special building report segment with Coach Bruce Pearl. Guys, this is the number one coach of the number one team in the land. And the War Rapport got a little bit of his time to talk about all things Auburn basketball, where the program is at, and some other things. So you don't want to miss this. We're going to drop. We usually drop interviews on Monday, but this one could not wait. So we're putting it out tomorrow for you guys to watch.
Oh man,
Gotta love it. Gotta love it. So listen, let's get back to talking about the game. And before we talk about and get into discussing tools of the game and breaking down the game, can we talk about Mizzouri's fan base?
Yeah, let's do that.
Oh man,
Let's talk about them real quick and just where do we begin?
I tweeted about that.
So
Where do we begin?
Thursdays here in where I live is the day where we do trash pickup. So I think that's where I actually left the Mizzouri fan base on the curb for tomorrow. Because they are bona fide. If you're hearing me and you're a Missouri fan, and I'm talking about you, because it's absolute. Like, I don't understand. There has to be, and we went through this when I talked about the Tennessee fans, and maybe Missouri fans didn't pay attention to that because it wasn't about them. But like, there has to be some point in time during athletic competition where you start realizing, hey guys, this isn't okay. And chanting while a guy is injured on the court, things about like shoot him like a horse or something, like stuff like that.
I didn't hear that, actually. I missed that. I found out about that today.
Right. Stuff like that is just so far over the line of where we need to be as fans. Not to mention chanting overrated after your team just lost the game has no sense whatsoever of like, so if we're overrated and we still won, what is that? Like, you're really bad, right? Like, we're not the best team in the country and still beat you. Think about what you're saying for just like half a second, maybe. I just don't understand. Like, cheering for your team, cool. Being upset at refs, cool. Feeling fired up that you guys are in a game that everybody didn't think. All of that stuff, cool. There are just certain things that are over the line, and we have to figure out how to get our way back to that space, man. Like, because it's out of hand.
I just have two questions. What was the issue with Bruce Pearl? Number one, I could see if this was Tennessee, but it's Missouri. The Bruce Pearl sucks. What's up with that? And then what was up with the antlers? Someone help me understand what the heck were the antlers about?
Somebody
Did you see that?
Somebody in the chat was just talking about the antlers.
People was rocking, like, I think it's the logo, but it had antlers connected to it. I didn't understand what that was about. Didn't make the least bit of sense to me. But
yeah, I don't know. Maybe somebody in the chat can explain it to us. I didn't get it. I just felt like as a fan base, I'll tell this story. While I was living in Phoenix, Arizona, I just ASU, Arizona State, was in Tempe, like right where I live. They don't have a very good sports culture there, right? And definitely not football. But I had a friend who went to Michigan State that came to town when Michigan State was ranked 12 in the nation. And so she said, hey, do you want to go to the Michigan State game? I said, sure. We sit down at the game, and a Michigan State guy goes down on the field. And they have a chant that they do. And every time ASU gets a first down, they go 1, 2, 3, first down, B word. Just 19-year-old screaming the B word in your ear, drunk.
That's kind of cool.
All right, okay. I knew Brian would like that. And so, like, I thought that was a little. I thought the chant was a little classist, right? Yeah. But then a Michigan State player goes down hurt, and they're still going in devil's chants. And I'm like, they got it twisted up here. They got me effed up. When a player is down and has not been moving for 2 minutes, usually the crowd is quiet. until you know that player is okay. That is not the time to cheer for your team. That's not the time to jeer the coach, yell at the refs. It's just time to have a quick moment of silence and remember that, this is bigger than sports and somebody's health is at risk or career is at risk. So like I have very low tolerance for that sort of behavior. Their fans should know better. And you could hear it clearly on TV. So it was more than a few.
Yeah.
100, the epitome of classless. I hated it, man. I'm telling you. And I when we went to that national championship game, Caesar, and we lost to Florida State, walking out of the Rose Bowl, I can tell you I did not run into one Auburn fan that made me ashamed to be an Auburn fan.
Right.
Florida State won, and their behavior was shameful after the game.
Right.
Our fans generally are better than that. And so, like, that's why so my standard for fan behavior is high. I did not like that at all. I thought that, that's a teaching moment. I hope that they talk to their students, or send a memo out about basic etiquette at a sporting event. You don't cheer about anything while players down on the court. Man, that was a scary injury, man. Green was writhing in pain. I was scared it was an ACL or something.
Yeah, because I didn't see the contact initially. I thought he just like landed awkwardly, and then when he went down in the amount of pain that he was in, I was like, "Ooh,
no, it looked good." It's never. He was right. He went straight for the right knee too while he was rolling over. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, "Oh no, please! This young man does not deserve this."
Yeah,
right.
5 minutes later, he was back out on the court. They gave him the Matt Corral juice.
Yeah,
we found it. We found it.
Yeah, but I heard that it's a bone bruise. It was a bone bruise, and bone bruises can be tricky. So we'll be monitoring it. I remember if you follow basketball, you remember Dwayne Wade played like half a season with a bone bruise, and it's because you have the only cure for it is rest. That's it.
Right.
You just have to rest when you have a bone bruise. And if you don't stay off it, I've had one on my shin. It was terrible. It felt like it was broken. You can put no pressure on it. All you can do is just take, meds for the pain, but it can be pretty excruciating. So I hopefully it's not a deep bruise and, with some therapy, but he'll be doing therapy on that bruise for the rest of the season. 100%.
Yeah.
And you guys are saying that the Antlers are reference to, I guess, their student section or the student group that supports the University of Missouri. So that's where the Antlers come from.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Got it. Got it. Didn't know where that came from. Walt Taylor, appreciate you, man. Good building report with Lauren Sizzler this week. Looking forward to tomorrow's with Bruce Pearl. Keep those going. Appreciate you, Walt.
Listen, we're working hard to bring you guys something that's not out there. Lauren's interview was excellent. I appreciate her. She's a total pro. Came on, gave us a great interview. She's been covering the program, and she actually covered Harsin some while he was at Boise State, which is why I really wanted that interview. Right. So thank you to Lauren Sizzler if you're watching. She is an ESPN sideline reporter and an AL.com contributor. So she does great work. I like the stuff that she does with Cole Kublik as well too. So we'll be having him back on, in the next few months as well too.
Cool. War Eagle says the Show Me State just got shown by 1 point. War Eagle. Yes, Eagle. They did. I agree with you. Chris Vincent, they must have given him some of the Delta 8.
Oh, man.
Nice.
Listen, I love it. Listen, our sponsors are watching. They're watching, guys.
So this exemplifies what you're talking about. Chris K here. They had a sign to free Harvey Updike, which Harvey Updike's not alive, and other Bama type BS. I was in the band. Yeah, he's not even alive. So
I think they had a Sam Newton. They was like representing like Sam Newton.
You're just pulling out whatever you can to. It's like, is there a thing that Auburn people don't like? Let's talk about it. If it's not going to be relevant, doesn't matter. I was in the band and we stopped everything during moments like that. We were forbidden from booing anything. That's exactly what we mean. Like at some point in time, somebody has to teach people, hey, we don't do this during sporting events. This isn't okay. There is a culture around this, and you guys kind of have to get on board with this. Like, show a little class, man. Show a little class.
I'm going to push back against all of you all in this way. Fans are idiots. Okay,
for sure.
The reason that sports can make so much money, the reason that coaches can get paid $10 million a year to coach football is because people are idiots about how much they care about football. It's not just this thing that, okay, I like it and I'm invested in it, but there's a line here. There is no line. It is completely some people's identity. That is a cultural thing. I know it's a Southern culture thing because I definitely see it down here in the South. Maybe people in the Northeast are that way about, I don't know, basketball, but the way we are about football is kind of bleeding over into basketball now because the SEC is now getting really competitive. So I don't expect people to have class when it comes to sports. I never do. I mean, when have they ever? We've seen live fist fights at NFL football games. Fist fights about football. That you can't even do anything about it.
Yeah.
But
Why am I fighting you?
I think that even in professional sports, they know not to cross a line. If a player is down and injured, you shut up and you wait and see if that guy is okay. Like, there are just certain lines you don't cross. The stupid signs and the chanting, okay, I get that. Like, you're an idiot, but like, cool.
Yeah.
Somebody's hurt, shut up. Like, you just
Right.
don't.
We see it every
Right.
time. And I mean, I'm never in a professional football stadium, so I don't know what they say. I don't think I've ever been to a pro football game. Just never traveled for one. But I wouldn't be surprised if they do it there because some people are just idiots.
Yeah.
So it's
some
always gonna
people.
happen.
Yeah,
but-
I'll tell you though. At a professional football, I mean, the last game I went to was in November. I think it was the Redskins and Buccaneers. It was my first time seeing Brady play in person. For the most part, depending on where you are, like there are some fan bases where they're just really unruly. So Philly is ridiculous. When King was playing for Philly, I used to go down to Philly to see the Eagles games, and my girlfriend at the time was a Giants fan, and they were playing the Giants. And she had a Giants jacket on, and we were walking up, and this guy, dead ass, walked and stood 3 inches from my face and said, "You make terrible life decisions." And I was like, wow, that's really aggressive. I was like, she's standing right here and can hear you, right? So it was always an adventure going down to Philadelphia, but their fans can be what B just described, certainly. And they have a reputation for that for all Philly sports. In New York, it's not much
Everybody
better.
calls them classless.
Right, yeah.
Right.
They kind of are. And then when King went to the Chargers in San Diego, they had a very different culture around sports there. It was more laid back. Like, people love their Chargers, but it's not that crazy over the top fanaticism. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so I'm saying all this to say that it is the same on the pro level. You just think, man, during these developmental years where young men and women are becoming the people that they're going to be for the rest of their lives, that, if you're representing our institution, you're carrying yourself in a certain way that, is representative of the morals and values that is the Auburn creed, right? Like, so cheering it just makes sense to me. I've never read a rule book on how to act at a game. I just know when somebody's down, you're quiet because there's more. You remember, was it Georgia 2003 when Junior Rosegreen put that hit on Reggie?
Four.
Oh, 4?
2004.
Yeah, it was the undefeated season. Yeah,
right. And it just, I thought he was. We thought he was dead, lifeless for a while, and there was a big boom. Now they've outlawed such hits. Now you can't make those kind of hits.
Right.
But
right.
I just remember the overwhelming sense of like relief when they took him off the field and said it looks like he's going to be okay. Brandon Jacobs in 2003, they put him on kickoff returns, and we played Vanderbilt, and he ran down and did the same thing, speared somebody, and just almost that guy was out. We thought he was dead. And I just remember the whole stadium, Auburn fans, Vanderbilt fans, everybody was just quiet, right? Like, there's this like quiet reverence that you have for the fact that somebody's health is at risk. I don't know. You could hear it through the TV. And I know that's not their whole fan base. It's the vocal minority that you hear that just happens to be in those seats. So, we all have them. We all have classless fans. Just to be able to hear it through the TV was really disappointing. So,
Yeah.
Right. Let's talk about the game. Let's break down the game, and let's talk about even though it's a Wednesday night, we can talk tools to the game. And my tool to the game was offensive rebounding in this game. As bad as Auburn shot, which was about 30% from field goal, Auburn managed to snag 25 5 offensive rebounds in this game, which was amazing.
Devin
Utterly-
Cambridge had 8 by himself.
Nine.
Nine,
Actually. They gave him 9.
He went crazy.
That's important in a game that you're struggling. Getting other opportunities to score, offensive rebounds becomes very important, and Auburn dominated the boards in that aspect. That has to be the tool for me. You guys can touch on it. I mean, and I like the fact, what's so cool about this team is that if we are not scoring well, if a player isn't scoring, they find ways to still be effective in the game. They don't just shut down in the game. They figure out either playing defense, blocking shots, grabbing boards. They're doing different types of stuff to impact the game. And so in this case, we struggled as a team, but the offensive boards was amazing to me. I'll go with you, B. Will. What's your tool, man?
Mine would have been offensive rebounding because, I mean, man, we missed so many shots.
Yeah,
we needed every shot we could get. It didn't, because if our percentage was going to be that bad, that means every offensive board we got for every additional shot we missed was absolutely necessary. We needed as many tries at the basket as we could get, and we got that. But that would have been mine. See, you were absolutely right. I would say defensively, and that's what I keyed on earlier. Even down the stretch when we couldn't score for anything, we didn't let them gain an inch. If they hit some outstanding shots, they had some great plays. But outside of some really just outstanding plays, we shut them down. We shut them down when we couldn't score a point. We shut them down, and that is a great sign of maturity. A lot of times when people who are used to scoring, their identity is scoring. If they can't score, they get down. They get emotional. You know what I'm saying? They get upset with themselves, or frustrated. They're mentally out of the game.
Right.
We don't do that. And that's another hallmark of a BP team. Bruce Pearl doesn't let you rest on just being able to do one thing. You're going to give effort. And we never saw that effort wane. It was just a bad shooting night. So defense, that's my key. That's my tool to the game.
Mike G.
Just hustle, man. Like, I think that Devin Cambridge was an unsung hero of this game.
For sure.
KD definitely gets the player of the game because he scored the points necessary. But Cambridge gets a huge assist for just energy, hustle, just not letting balls die, grabbing boards, catching lobs, just doing anything and everything he could to contribute. And, Bruce
and we
Pearl,
needed that because Flanagan was not playing well.
No, he wasn't.
Right.
And Bruce Pearl talked about why they play 10 guys. I think it was Nubias Wilborn from AL.com that asked him in a post game. He said, can you rotate that 10 guys regularly? Are you guys going to stick with this? Is it going to change as the season goes on? And he said that, this is part of our identity, is who we are.
Right.
We're going to play 10 guys and we're going to stay fresh, and being able to get significant minutes when it matters during the season means when everybody else is having an off night and you need to contribute, you don't have to try to pull a hero pull. You're already in the flow. This is what you do.
Right.
You play 15 to 18 minutes a night, regardless of how Jabari is doing or Wendell is doing. And I think, I think the depth and the hustle were the keys to the game here, because this was not going to be a pretty win. It was apparent after like 5 minutes into the second half where I was like, yeah, this is going to be ugly. I kept waiting for Auburn to pull away by 10 points. This was a character defining moment for this team. I thought Devin Cambridge stepped up to the plate. And, if they, let's say Auburn wins out and they go undefeated in SEC play, right? This is one of those performances that it's really easy to overlook because he wasn't the lead scorer. But I'm telling you, these kind of things are just as important to the makeup of a championship team as having a guy like Jabari Smith who can go out there and score 25 to 30 points.
Right.
Eventually, he's going to have an off night, and you're going to need other guys to step up. I thought Cambridge really, really did a great job of that.
Yeah. Hey, talk to me, man. What stood out to you in this game? What's the tool you got?
Yeah, for me, it was actually, this might be the first time I've said this all year, not because it wasn't important, but because it stood out to me specifically in this game, and it was coaching. The adjustments I feel like we made in this game, Coach Bruce Pearl talked about how Mizzouri showed us some stuff that they hadn't shown on film all year, right? So you have to adjust to that stuff on the fly, and and if it had just been like an on-the-fly adjustment by players on the court, I'd have given the players credit for it. But it was clear they went into halftime and they were like, "This is what's happening. This is how they're defending the pick and roll." We didn't get a single lob to the rim the first half of that game, but they came out in the second half. They had multiple because they understood this is how they're defending you guys on the pick and roll. Just adjust in this way. They came out of a timeout and got that lob to Devin Cambridge that Mike was talking about. That was a set play after a timeout. They were like, okay, this is how they're going to defend this. We're not going to lob it to the roll guy. We're going to lob it to the backside guy because everybody's going to be looking at the pick and roll action. Devin came off the back. That's a play set that somebody called on the sideline. Coaching did a marvelous job in this game of putting Auburn in opportunities to get buckets. The three that we went up on by Jabari was a good ball rotation shot that we got in that instance. Just a lot of things that they did subtly in the defensive rotations that they were doing took Mizzouri out of the rhythm of what they had. You can tell Mizzouri, listen, props to Mizzouri. They were prepared in this game.
They were.
I was impressed by the skill set that Kobe, what's his last name? Kobe Brown. Kobe Brown had for Mizzouri, just being able, he understood where his spots were. There was one time in particular, it was a late in the shot clock situation. KD did an amazing job of doubling down on it, but he got the ball late in the shot clock. He cleared everybody out, and he went from the top of the key to the wing, and he just, because he knew that's where he liked to operate. So he had a mismatch. I think he had Wendell on him, so he was going to try to back him down from the top of the key to get into the lane. And KD Johnson came over with a double team to tie him up before, and then they ended up getting a shot clock violation after that. But it was just good recognition on their part of what kind of sets Mizzouri wanted to get into, what were the things that they wanted to do when the shot clock was low, and rotating really well. But that's a lot of coaches understanding what is it that they're doing to attack us. This is how we're going to combat that. So I liked what we were doing from a coaching standpoint.
Yeah, I think the coach, I say Coach Martin, and he did a great game plan.
Yeah.
Great game plan.
Martin, he's a good coach, man. He got fired from, I think it was Cal. He was coaching. They got fired there. It was some rumblings about some other stuff that him not being treated fairly from that front office. But I know he's had a rough start here at Mizzouri. It's really a fact of, is he going to get the players or not? Because he's a good coach. I've seen him put together good runs. He was in the tournament with Cal, actually. And he's a good coach, man. And he showed why. They've had some downs, but we have a team that hadn't played together. That happens. When you get some really experienced, talented players, he can do some damage.
Yeah. Let's talk about Jabari. Was Jabari due for a game like this?
Yes.
And how does he bounce back, and what does he learn about a performance like this and a night like this?
So here's one of the things that I liked about what Jabari did last night. He didn't stop shooting when the ball was rotating and coming his direction. He took a couple of frustration shots. Like there was one, we got an offensive rebound and they kicked it out to him, and he was about 2 feet behind the 3-point line, and he still shot it. That's a shot that you take after you've hit a couple of them. But I like that when the ball swung to him in the flow of the offense, he wasn't shy about taking the shot. The thing that I liked the most is that though he still wasn't making the shots, he would put the ball on the floor and he's like, all right, cool. I'm not making the three. Let me go try to get to my turnaround game, right? Okay, I'm not making this. And then he had one of the quick, put the one dribble, pull up, shots. He found other ways to try to get his offensive game going. He didn't just settle and say, let me just keep chucking up threes because one of them's going to fall, right? So I do like that. I just wish that I don't know that we run enough sets specifically for him. We don't really run the offense through Jabari in those situations, and maybe it's because he wasn't hitting a lot. But I just feel like at certain situations, give him the ball, clear out, and let him figure out how to facilitate from that space, because that's the one thing that's the thing I haven't seen Jabari do really well. Handle the double team and know how to make other players feel the fact that, okay, you can't just double me because I'm not just going to try to shoot up over the double team. I'm gonna burn you by getting into this rotational situation, right? Like he plays within the flow of the offense, but I want to see him in ISO ball figure out how to be a facilitator too. If he puts that into his game, this team's not beat. They can't beat him. You can't beat him because then if you double Jabari, you're asking to get beat by somebody else.
Right. Yeah.
So that's the one place where like I feel like he's offensively savvy enough to know how to get to different shots when he's struggling, but he needs to figure out how to facilitate from that space as well.
Yeah.
Like, how do you feel about him? I feel like the one thing he's missing in his arsenal is like his ball handling in open floor. Like it seems like when you get pressure on him, he almost becomes very turnover prone.
Yeah, he's not, and that's what I mean about like his ability to facilitate. He's a decent ball handler, but like guards are just gonna like he has to be handling pressure against somebody big. Yeah, he can dribble better than most bigs, and bigs can't keep up with his quickness. But usually in the open court, it's going to be guards pressing up on you, and they're quicker, right? And so, like, that's going to put more pressure on him to be. And that's why I say the KD comparisons aren't fair because Kevin Durant he can do that.
Immaculate ball handler.
Yeah. He can do that, right?
So, like, he don't have that. Like KD's bag is different, bro. Like you just don't build dudes that tall that have that kind of handle. And I get that people want to give him the KD comparison because of how tall he is and how smooth his shot is. He's not as slow as a Dirk, but like he's really more Dirkish than he is KD, right? It's like back to the basket, turnaround shots, spot up three, a little bit of handle, but like he ain't really just gonna get freaky with you.
Right.
Or a Carmelo, like he's more of that kind of guard, a young Carmelo, not Carmelo, a couple of years into the NBA, because Carmelo a couple of years into the NBA was like,
he do everything.
Yeah, he was out there just bink, 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 like,
everything.
Yeah. But so I think that's the part of his game he needs to work on to be able to be a truly like transcendent player. He's already a pro talent, but if you want to be transcendent, you've got to be able to be a facilitator because they're going to come double you, and you have to be able to, like you said, handle the ball a little bit better in the open floor. But he's getting there, man. Like again, 18-year-old kid, he's got time to put, and this is why he needed this year in college. He needed a year to develop and understand, big boy ball a little bit more. So I think it's going to be good for him.
Mike G, talk to me about guy you've coined Big Sexy. He had a very quiet double-double.
Hey, listen,
last night, 13 and 12.
He still made his presence felt in and around the hoop, altering shots. Just sometimes this one just didn't look pretty from any point of view. This was not a sexy win. So I know we dubbed him Big Sexy, but like he was he wasn't Friday night sexy. He was like Tuesday night sexy in this one. So we just needed to get more production in a different way from him. I thought he still did a good job, but he was kind of just in the flow of how everybody else was in the rest of the game. He's had some very important dunks, right? So when they get him rolling to the basket on that pick and roll, it's pretty. And I just wonder how much longer teams are going to let us do that. Right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, listen, Mizzouri gave the blueprint on how to slow down our pick and roll action.
Yeah. And they still got it off, a few times.
That's why I said the coaching. This is the spaces where your coaches show up, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
And you'll hear. I don't want to give away too much of what Bruce Pearl talked about in our interview. You'll hear him talk about it tomorrow. About he definitely understands his team has some things that they need to do to get better. But he said, coaches win you games in the regular season, but players win you national championships. Like that was one quote that stuck with me from what he said. He's like, listen, your players have to get you home. And he can only do so much coaching because at some point in time, it's about effort. At some point in time, it's about who's got the better guys out there on the court. Really whatever sport it is, better guys on the field. Like we can scheme all we want to, but at some point in time, the scheming doesn't matter. Give the ball to KD and get out of his way is how we won that basketball game last night.
Yeah, that's what he said in the post game.
Yeah, get out of the way.
He said, "Get the hell out of the way."
Yeah.
So I can't forget that.
Yeah.
let's talk about Flanagan real quick before we get to the
You know what? Since you're doing there, our guy Main Easy is in the chat here. He says Flanagan isn't opposing enough of a threat to be in the starting five at the moment. 10 to 11 games. His feet are soaking wet at this point. Got to cut minutes. Flanagan, I think is just coming back from that injury. Was it an Achilles that he came back from?
Achilles, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, listen, that's a really tough injury in basketball, first of all. That is career death for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And, this team found, I think, a chemistry and a groove without him to start the season. And now they're trying to insert him back in to increase depth as they go deeper in because they expect to make a deep run. They're going to be playing in late March. They know it. So you're going to need him to get going at some point. And I don't know if cutting his minutes is the way to get him there. Especially when you're
going to
winning.
need him. Yeah, you're going to need him.
So
for sure.
I just hope I just hope he gets to the next step here in the next few games. Is what I think. But I don't disagree that Flanagan's
he was awful last night, though.
Yeah,
well, he was pressing a lot as well, and I feel like he's good when he lets the game come. I mean, this is true of most players.
He
but
scored
it's
the first 4 points of the game,
now.
didn't he? He scored the first 4 points of the game.
No,
he
that was
scored
against
2.
Kentucky. Kentucky, he scored the first 4. Last night,
he
was
had
just
2 points.
Turning the ball over and missing shots. He was brick city all night. Yeah, I mean, so I think the issue for Flanagan, like you said, was him pressing. He like everyone else felt like, man, this isn't going the right way. Let me go make something happen. But he wasn't doing it under control. And this is what I said earlier in the season when Flanagan first got back. He needs to figure out how to get a mid-range game because for him, it's either spot up and shoot it deep or I have to get all the way to the bucket. Teams are just waiting for him to get deep and then taking the charge. Find something intermediate and find a way to get listen, I know some people watch this show from Auburn University Athletic Department. Tell Alan Flanagan where we at. We're at an hour and 1 minute into the show. Tell him to listen to Ike when he says, and your dad probably already told you this, just go work on your medium range pull-up game. You incorporate that and little floaters in the lane. You solve 80% of your offensive issues. Don't bull your way to the basket and try to Euro step your way in there. Just drive hard, put on the brakes, give them something from 10 to 8 feet. I guarantee you, even if it's not dropping consistently, they play you differently every game from then going forward because then they have to respect it. They have to respect the fact that he's not just going to keep driving on me. You find that in your game because you've got the ability to jump over people. You find that in your game, I guarantee you your offensive game revolutionizes from that point on. I promise you it will. Go figure out how to do that.
Any final thoughts before we get to the
next break?
I'm not worried about anybody's particular performance because honestly, everybody had a bad game. Everybody on the offensive end. Nobody had a great game on the offensive end. So I think this was more about the pressure of being number one, being on the road, and having somebody defend us really well and put that pressure on us to now defend our ranking and do it when you're not at home and all comfortable in the jungle and behind you. So how we reacted and what that manifested itself as bad shooting nights from multiple people who have not had bad shooting nights. And I can't say I'm too worried about any one person for that reason. I think what we saw, because it was everybody, that is clearly, it wasn't just one guy having something where he's in his head or he's not trusting his injury. Nah, this was widespread across all the players on offense. And for that reason, I'm pretty sure it was more mental than anything. So now the holes in Flanagan's game are absolutely true. What Ike was pointing out, everybody, all of them have some holes in their game, but they've had those same holes in their game for the entire season now. And it wasn't affecting them like it was last night. And I know that Bruce develops these guys. I see these guys get better from year to year and even from the beginning of the season to the end of the season in most cases with Bruce. So I expect us to be fine, but they've got to handle that pressure. Hopefully, I don't know if this was a one-off thing, and that's something we'll find out not this weekend at home against Oklahoma, but the next time we go on the road. That game, when we go to somebody else's gym And we've got some hard road games, man. Florida got whoever it was that was injured when we played them. I think
he'll be back. Yeah,
he'll be
Yeah.
back.
I will say this. Bruce Pearl kind of touched on this in the bowl game, and he said if we had lost this game, half of you would have wrote Auburn gets ranked number 1. They can't handle the pressure. They weren't ready for the moment, and in his eyes, that was the furthest thing from the truth. Right. He said, we prepared. We took this game seriously. It showed up on the defensive side for a team that averages over 70 points per game at home. So that was lost in this story, is that they didn't let Vanderbilt do very much offensively either. Missouri, I'm sorry. Very much offensively. And
popping
so
too many gummies, man. Got to slow down. Bro.
Well, I heard he said Vanderbilt in his example that he was giving of other games they've had kind of like this. And he thought you had to give Mizzouri credit for the defense that they played. And at the end of the day, this was the inevitable night that he predicted would come. Mm-hmm. Right. The timing just happened to be after the number 1 ranking. But he said it. He said, we're going to get beat at some point. It just can't be because we're resting on our laurels.
Right. I'll say this before I get to a few super chats and we get to the giveaway. It's hard to be 19-1, man. Like that's not easy. No one else has done it. Like this what we're doing is amazing, and we're going to get people's best shot as a result. Like I look at programs like Duke and Kansas, and there's been a lot of times these are blue blood programs that we've seen them in nail biters. We've seen them in fights because they are at the top or perceived to be at the top. And teams that's that team's biggest game of the season. So they're playing like their life dependent on it. They're seeing flaws in their weakness. If Auburn is barely in the top 25, people ain't game planning like that for us.
Right.
People see what we're doing and they're trying to literally be the team that says we beat them.
Right.
And so we're going to look vulnerable at times moving forward because we're in the spotlight. And I think the ability to win games like this gives me confidence when we get in the tournament, because we've been getting teams' best shot all second half of the season.
Yeah.
So I'm excited. I'm happy about this win. I think we needed a game like this because it shows us who we are. We've been blowing teams out left and right. Can we win a close one, or do we shrink in the moment? We did not shrink. So let's get to some of these super chats. Jazzy Joe, what's crazy is how many times we've had a game where we said, man, he was clutch for us, and we're talking about a different player every time. We are stacked. I agree. I think that speaks to one of the things that Bruce Pearl talks about, our identity. We play a lot of guys. Big Gap says hopefully Al will shake the rust off going into the tourney. We could use that offense going into the big dance. I agree. It's all hands on deck, man. For sure. Corey Weber, I missed that one. Who do you least likely want to meet?
Cameron Petway or KD Johnson? Oh, that's an interesting comparison because of football versus basketball.
Yeah.
I ain't trying to tackle Cam Petway at no point in time ever in life.
I would flop trying to guard KD Johnson. That's what I would do.
Do you guys remember a silly movie called The New Guy? In the movie, he would do this thing called Crazy Eyes. This is really stupid. And he would like make these crazy eyes, and people were like, "Oh, something's wrong with that dude. I'm out." Right? KD Johnson has that look. Right? Yeah. So you could meet him in the hole. It may not be about physicality. He's just got that like I will do anything it takes to win, including snatching your soul from you, Indiana Jones style. Like, I mean, he just looks crazy. And you need to be crazy, a little crazy, to win a championship. Yes. I don't want to go. Right? I'm gonna take your heart. All right. That's KD Johnson looks like that all day. I bet you he sleeps with crazy eyes. That dude is intense.
Before we go to this break, this is just gonna be one more plug for Building Rapport tomorrow. Phil, listen to Building Rapport tomorrow. We'll talk about this after you guys get an opportunity to hear Bruce Pearl's comments, and we'll talk about that more. We'll come back to this because I know there's a lot of angst in the Auburn fan base about reports that Louisville wants to come for Bruce Pearl's job. We'll talk after you hear the Building Rapport tomorrow. And then go listen to his comments in the ESPN interview that he did today as well. And then we'll come back and talk about Bruce Pearl and his future at Auburn.
Absolutely.
Indeed. Let's get to it, guys. You guys know what to do. Listen, if you still want to win, you know what to do, guys.
How many we got in here? How many?
Hashtag get your weight up in the comments section.
96 right now.
AU.
Yeah. Listen, please get in here. We love giving stuff away. There's 350 people in here right now. So we could have at least 100, right? At least 100. These AU shirts are hot, man. I'm telling you, I've been seeing, you guys have been sending me pictures of you guys wearing it. I hope one day to look up in a crowd of Auburn people and see like 300 of these shirts.
That'd be dope. Man.
Yeah. So 97, just a few more, and then we can just roll it.
Come on. We getting there. 99.
Boom. Did it.
Boom.
103.
All right. Let's see what we got.
Oh, I saw Corey's face.
It ain't gonna be him.
Oh, Todd Jordan. I ain't seen that name in a while. Austin
Holland.
I feel like Austin won.
I think Austin's won something. Austin?
Yeah. Austin, be honest.
No.
Have you won, sir? I feel like that name has been a winner.
I'm almost certain it's been a winner.
And no, we're not checking the spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Depending on you guys. Lawrence said you won before. So that has to be true, right? If Lawrence said it. I'm here to draw again. Austin,
he said, yes, sir, I have won before. Okay,
all right,
so
Austin.
there you go.
Thank you for being honest.
Yeah, what we like to do is throw this back and try to get somebody who hasn't won. So
let's try it again. Let's see what we get. Last time we did this, the name popped up again on the second redraw. So that's
Mark,
definitely a new name.
Yeah, that's a new name.
Mark, are you here?
Yeah, you need to be here to being able to win. So we'll keep it pushing. But Mark, you need to let us know what's up.
All right. We'll move on, guys. You can scan the comment section and see if Mark names.
I appreciate the fact that you guys are I think some of y'all have like a spreadsheet and you're like, let me see who won before. Because if I see that name, I'm gonna definitely I'm gonna call it out.
Oh, snitches.
I'm gonna call it out. He won already, boss. I got proof.
Right.
Cohen said I actually identify as Mark.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
That's good stuff. Oh man, I love you guys. You guys are awesome.
All right, guys. We're at the last little segment. We did want to spend time. He is here. Yeah. He is here. Well, congratulations, sir. Please do the necessary business at the War Rapport. Please email us your t-shirt size as well as your address, and your shirt will be on the way. Congratulations, good sir. All right. Let's go ahead and shout out. Let me pop this up here real quick. Let's shout out sponsor. We've been shouting out the whole show, just about Rogue Shop.
This segment of the War Rapport is brought to you in part by RogueShop.com.
If you're in need of high-quality, all-natural herbs and extracts that contribute to a happy, healthy lifestyle, the Rogue Shop is the place for you. With a variety of products that contribute to a healthy sleep, lower stress, and a happy mood, the Rogue Shop has you covered. Visit them at DRogueShop.com and use code RAPPORT today. Tell them the War Rapport sent you.
You can tell them the War Rapport sent you by using code RAPPORT on checkout. So that's 10% off. Go check them out. If you haven't educated yourself on Delta 8, you can contact Richard at Rogue Shop and he can walk you through that. But he's got great products. Definitely go check them out. Support us by supporting our sponsors. So he does CBD stuff. He does Delta 8 stuff. It's all really good. So please go check them out.
Guys, let's we got a few minutes left. Let's discuss last little segment. Derek Mason has joined Oklahoma State staff as defensive coordinator. Few days after stepping down as defensive coordinator at Auburn. So lateral move on his part, but it's kind of the circumstances behind which he did leave. I the few times I am on Twitter, I happened to just hop on and saw Marcus Harris's tweet, which let me know he was kind of in his feelings. Ike, we want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, I mean, listen, so multiple reports inside the Auburn program are stating that what precipitated the process of Derek Mason vacating his seat as the defensive coordinator for Auburn was him stating that he was burnt out and he wanted to take a year away from coaching, which is why this transition was like smooth and behind the scenes, and they were just kind of slowly ramping up to kind of moving over from Derek Mason to coach Jeff Smetting. And not only was that told to the coaching staff so that they could prepare this transition, but Coach Mason then went and told players the same thing. And which is why, we talked about the whole thing when we were speculating that he was leaving as to whether or not this was going to lead to some mass exodus because players were going to be disappointed and want to follow Coach Mason. I think at this point now, I'm pretty sure those players were okay with him leaving because they didn't think he was getting fired or, whatever. They just thought, okay, well, he's not going to be coaching no more, whatever. But then to say that and then go take another coaching job
days later.
Right. And the Marcus Harris tweet that you're referring to, Marcus Harris said in quotations, retweeting the thing from Oklahoma State announcing him as the new coach. He put in a quotation mark, something to the effect, and I'm not quoting this directly. He's like taking a year off in quotation marks and then, a laughing emoji after that. So they were under the impression, multiple players, there was an Michael Riley Drucker, I think, tweeted something about it. They were dissatisfied with how this happened. They thought Coach Mason was disingenuous with them about him needing time off from coaching, and that's the reason why he wasn't going to be at Auburn. And then you pop up with a new job. That's like, your girlfriend being like, I just need a break. I'm not feeling relationships. And
it's me, it's not you.
Yeah, the next minute she, posted up on Instagram with some other dude in his picture talking about this my bae. And it's like, wait a minute, didn't you just tell me?
Sound very specific, by the way.
I mean, listen, Instagram wasn't around when I was going through them type of issues. But I'm just saying though, like it's very like you ain't have to lie. Just say, you know what, I don't want to be here right now, right. And but I don't like it. It stinks to me, and I have spoken very highly of Coach Mason, and this sours that perception a little bit. Like, again, I get it that you're in a bad situation, but I don't know if that's the way to handle it, bro. I don't know.
Yeah. B. Will, thoughts?
I think he wanted out. Obviously, it wasn't about him being burnt out. So what that leads me to believe is he just didn't like. I think this is something that we find common with people who have been head coaches. To take a step down and have to now do things, you've done things your own way.
Somebody else's way.
Yeah, somebody else's way. You've had the luxury of being able to say, here's how we practice, here's when we practice, here's what we need to emphasize as far as nutrition and strength training program and schedules and everything about that. You get to decide it. And then all of a sudden, your focus goes from this wide to about this narrow. And that's all you got to worry about, which is a relief for some coaches. This is why some NFL coaches are great coordinators, and then they become bad head coaches, and then they come back and be great coordinators. Steve Spagnuolo for the Kansas City Chiefs. He's a great defensive coordinator. He was a terrible head coach, but you know what? I'm not going to worry about all that stuff. I'm going to worry about just my job, and I think I can do that a little better. That works great for some coaches. Other coaches, they can't quite sit with not being able to dictate how everything goes. Maybe there was a little bit of that. Maybe it was Derek Mason did feel accountable. He felt like he owed an explanation for walking away from this team, and he offered them an explanation because he wants to be a good dude. But really, it wasn't that he was burnt out on being a coach. He was burnt out on being a coach here for this coach. Maybe that's all it was. And maybe that's hard to say to the guys who you have established a connection with and established a rapport with for a year. But if that's the truth, then that's what you should have said to him. You didn't have to say, listen, man, it's just this. I promise that's the only reason I'm stepping away. Well, obviously, it's not the only reason because, as a matter of fact, I think the quote from him announcing said after weeks of talking about direction, weeks of discussing what looking forward for the program, he's accepting this job. I'm like, weeks, huh? So you at least knew you were flirting with coaching somewhere else for at least weeks. When did he give these guys this explanation that it was just because I'm burnt out on coaching? I don't know, man. I don't know. It's unfortunate. He it seems like he was going to be gone no matter what, though.
Right.
So, in end of the day, he's not here, and that's what it is.
Yeah, I don't know. I just say I don't like it, bro. But yeah, go ahead, Mike.
Mike, what are your thoughts about this? Because I think you've been largely positive. We all have been largely positive about Mason, especially with the results that on the field. Players appear to like him a lot, but after this comes out, what are your thoughts, Mike?
So I was about maybe a one or two gummy on this one when we found out that he was not coming back, and we speculated about this from a few different angles. Is it Harsin? Is it Mason? Like, what's going on? I 100% don't like the way he handled it. I don't see the point of having a meeting with the players if you, in the back of your mind, know this was always the end result. Now, if it's possible that something happened between him having that meeting and then making this decision, I that's a hard sell for me because of what he told the players. I'm stepping away.
And why doesn't he come back and tell the players, hey, listen, I don't know, whatever. You talking.
I don't like the optics of his actions at all. And what it does is it kind of muddies the waters around why is this happening, which again, I don't know if we'll ever get the full truth.
Yeah.
Right.
About why this is happening. But it does seem, based on other reports I've had about the process of choosing a defensive coordinators, that there may have been some philosophical differences about direction that started brewing mid-season and came to a head around the time we started looking for a D-line coach. So the connection is unclear at this point. You guys know we don't spread unsubstantiated rumors. It's just there are a lot of things floating around about the why. And when you're putting it all together, the bottom line is, my bottom line conclusion is Derek Mason did not want to work on Brian Harsin's staff anymore. That's what it boils down to. The why he didn't want to, I just don't know that we'll ever get the truth. But I think that's where we're at. And if a guy doesn't want to be here, then he can't be here.
Right.
Because Brian Harsin is going to be the coach in 2022.
Right.
So it's positive for Auburn, I think, in that way, possibly. It doesn't mean, because some guys, even if they're unhappy, they can still be professional. So it doesn't mean that he would have been unable to do his job. But ultimately, you need a staff that's of one mind and that's unified, right, in the direction and the plan, even if it's the wrong one. Right. So I still have my questions about how Coach Harsin manages his staff, and how he gets along with people who have different ideas from him, and see how that works. I mean, we just did an interview with the number one coach, and I don't want to give away what he said, but he kind of talked about this during our interview as well, about the people that he surrounds himself with. So I just hope that we're headed more in that direction than the other direction.
Gotcha. Jazzy Joe says, challenge. Each of y'all choose Auburn's score at the end of each half. 2 guesses each against Oklahoma, and I'll super chat 300 each half y'all get right.
So we all get to guess how many points Auburn is going to score.
What a heck of a preview.
So we get
at
8.
the end of the first
and
half, second half for each person. Okay.
So we get 16 choices over 2 halves. That's the way I see that.
No, it's just 8.
8. Okay, so one for each half. One guess for each half.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
All right. That makes it a little bit more difficult.
Chase.
The Jigsaw Super
Watch play a game.
Oh man. Let's see here. Yep.
I think we're gonna have 35 at the end of the first half, and we finish with 76 points.
I need to study Oklahoma some.
Yeah, so Oklahoma is giving up 62.5 points per game right now.
That's not a ton.
No, it's not.
That's a pretty good. I mean, they're not a bad team.
No, they're not. Just
not a
because
bad
they're
team.
not ranked. College basketball is probably
not a
the
bad
worst
team.
ranking system of any sports because there are too many teams playing.
Yeah.
And nobody's keeping real tabs on how to judge all these teams against each other. There are probably about 6 teams across the nation that all could be ranked top 15 right now, honestly, based on how they're playing.
Texas A&M could be a top 25 team right now.
Texas A&M is a really, really good team. That is one I've got.
Yeah, they're not giving them no respect until they beat somebody.
None.
It's because all their losses are real close. It comes out as losses on the record. So when people look at them, they go, they're not that good. No, they are good. Just like Oklahoma, they've lost some games that, against some inferior teams, but they are good.
I'm curious to see how Wendell looks on Saturday.
You know what? I didn't even consider that. Wendell might not be 100%.
Yeah, that bone bruise. Once you sit down and the circulation stops going, you've got to be. It's a lot of therapy during the week to keep blood stimulated in that area and keep it warm. And like once it gets stiff, it can just really hurt. So, yeah, it's going to be curious to see how he does. But yeah, I just need to look in at Oklahoma to make that guess. Can we put this in the community? Jazzy Joe will put this in the community. We'll put our guesses in the community or the game,
or tweet them one of them. Like we'll get them out there publicly.
We know where to find you, Jazzy.
Yeah, we'll get on record about that. This is going to be a great. I love this Big 12 matchup in the middle of the season.
This is great. Why don't other sports? Well, never mind. I know what other sports don't do it. This is great though.
This is big because you're talking about two of the best conferences right now, two of the hottest conferences, the Big 12 and the SEC. This is why this is kind of a big deal. So
the ACC is big trash. The ACC is terrible.
It's terrible.
Is Duke, and what's so amazing is that that used to be like the premier conference, man, in college basketball at one point, because you had Pittsburgh, you had Syracuse, you had, of course, Duke, North Carolina, FSU, Louisville, but now it's just Duke and everybody else. So Jazzy Joe says that's cool. He can do that, but we'll definitely get our scores to you for sure.
Yeah, we'll get that documented. I like this.
I think I kind of know what my score is going to be, but
Oklahoma, man, I don't know. Like, coming off a bad shooting night is tough, right?
Yeah.
Is that the start of a shooting slump, or was that just about how they defended us?
I think it's in college. I think it's the opposite most times. They are ready to erase the memory of that last game with a really good game, especially going from on the road to back at home.
Right.
They're waiting to hear that crowd again. They're waiting to see that excitement from the fan base again. If anything helps spur or erase a bad performance, it is coming home to a crowd to play a team where you're going to be on TV. We'll probably be on TV every game from now on, but it's a highlight event. It's a main event. I think they'll get up for it because we got a lot of primetime guys on our squad. Wendell's a primetime dude. KD's a primetime dude. Jabari doesn't have that primetime go get it attitude yet, but he's growing into it. And I think listen, man, people are going to be talking about how, oh man, that's the number one big. He missed all them shots. Yeah, all of them want to come home and erase the type of performance they had on offense and put up some really big numbers. I think we're going to see an outstanding offensive night at the very least from these guys. Is the
NET a trash ranking system? Why do we keep dropping in the NET every day?
Well, you said it was because of the margin of victory gets scored a certain way, and I think that's probably it. Like, you have to
Right.
remember, we didn't beat Ole Miss by double digits. We didn't beat Mizzou by double digits, and neither one of them are good teams. But you have Mizzouri beat Ole Miss by like 30 points. So we are struggling against teams who are not great in the NET. Now we're struggling in the half, and then we get it together, and then somebody from somewhere is going to put together the effort and production that gets us over the top. But we are not dominating. It's the same reason Ike said, if there's any reason to nitpick us not being number one, it's because, look, somebody's going to say, look, how are y'all getting down to these teams by 10 points in the first half? Because you're not a great team. And I think that is why we don't end up blowing people out by 30. And that's why our net ranking is affected, because Gonzaga's blowing out those poo-poo-ka-choo teams by, 20, 25, 30 points. And anybody else who plays really bad teams has the advantage of being able to blow them out. We're just beating them. Now, it's clear when we're on the court, we are better and we're beating them handily. But as far as on paper, what's that final score? It weighs it a little more heavily than maybe it should. So,
well, it's saying that Auburn has the 19th ranked strength of schedule right now. Gonzaga has, according to the rating I'm looking at, has the 6th. So maybe that's it. Maybe they're just looking at their schedule more favorably. I just don't understand. I don't understand that ranking, right? I don't understand how we're dropping while we're winning. And if you missed what B said, there is a margin of victory component to that ranking, but it caps after 10 points. So it doesn't matter if you beat a team by 10 or 20. It's a 10 point points victory. It's the same, right? Under 10 points, they have some scale for how that works. But I just looked on there just to see that we were ranked 6th, and I'm like, we went down. That's strange to me. That's strange to me, but whatever.
Well, listen, we'll definitely get our scores out between now and the big game on Saturday against Oklahoma. Either way, hoping Auburn to pull it out and go to 20, be the first team in the nation to get 20 wins this season. So I'm looking for the good guys to bounce back and have a strong game at home. Mike G, tell the people what they need to do in the off season.
Become a patron. I just got tweeted a really cool picture about becoming a patron, which was funny, about one of you guys. So whoever did that, kudos. Become a patron. Go to our YouTube channel. Click the join button. If you're on a Droid phone, you can see that from your YouTube app. If you're on an iPhone, you won't see the join button, but you can sign in to a computer with the same login credentials. Hit join, become a patron. This is a great way to support our content. We're partnered with the Lee County Humane Society to raise money for a good cause. Hashtag save all the puppies is what we're trying to do with them. Go to the About section of our YouTube channel, click on the link for this fundraiser, and help them save the puppies. 50 cents on every dollar goes to them. We got to do better than we did in 2021. So I believe we can do that. So let's get those donations going. Our merch store is live. If you did not win, you could just buy a t-shirt and support our content. I've been seeing you guys get into the merch store and get some of this merchandise lately. So I appreciate everybody who's doing that. Some real good quality stuff in that merch store. So get in on that today. We're on podcast, every single podcast platform you can think of. The War Rapport is there, putting out at least 4 podcasts a week. So this segment with Coach Bruce Pearl will eventually be on there, so you can listen to it in audio form. Lawrence Sizzler's interview will be on there. And then, of course, our live shows are getting converted into podcast form. So please go over there, sign up, subscribe, download, and leave us a 5-star review so that those platforms know that you guys love the War Rapport. Last but not least, listen, man, we're dropping an interview with the coach, best coach in the land right here. Mr. Bruce Pearl sat down with us to talk about all things Auburn basketball. So we asked him some stuff. He was very candid. I was very taken back by how genuine and authentic he came off in this interview. He cares a lot about this program. He cares a lot about Auburn. He cares a lot about the young men underneath him. Please don't miss this. We're going to release this tomorrow morning around 9 or 10 a.m. So if you're subscribed, turn on all notifications so you don't miss this. Get in. Be one of the first to watch our first interview with the head coach at Auburn for Auburn basketball.
And appreciate Bruce Pearl again for sitting down with us. We want to thank auburnsports.com also for sponsoring our Wednesday night war room. Please be sure to head on over there, guys, to get your latest intel on recruiting and all things Auburn athletics. Guys, I want to thank you for hanging out with us on a Wednesday night. Before you get out of here, you know what to do. Share this video. Use hashtag Get Your Weight Up on social media platforms. Facebook, Twitter will do the trick. Be sure to like this video on your way out. If you're new to the channel, you're perusing and just happen to find us, please be sure to subscribe to our channel. That helps us a lot. Also, if you want to interact with us on social media, because we're posting every day, just about at the War Rapport on Twitter and IG. We are TW Report on TikTok. That's it for now, guys.
Hold on. Can I ask a question? What time are we dropping that video tomorrow, Mike? The
9 a.m.
9 a.m. Eastern. All right, 9 a.m. Eastern. I just want to be aware of what's going on. All right, cool.
Okay. 9 a.m. Eastern. Okay. Bruce Pearl. The War Rapport.
Cool. All right.
Epic.
Our times aren't on spreadsheets. That's why he didn't know.
It's up here, baby.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, guys. Have a good weekend. As always, War Eagle.
War Eagle.
War Eagle.